30 minutes. You ready?
30 minutes?
Yeah, 30
Good
minutes.
luck.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So we're going to start with the easy stuff first.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the deep dives.
All right. Can I stop you, though?
Yes, of
Can I
course
just
you can.
interrupt and begin and derail your podcast? But I want to do this. I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and other business owners in this area should be thanking you as well, because what you folks have done and created is super inspiring. Between you at our local community television station, MCTV, partnering with our local Chamber of Commerce and Laura Brait, Marshfield Chamber of Commerce, you've given our business owners a shop local platform, right?
Absolutely.
So business owners out there,
Face to the name.
get involved and take Jonathan up on this when he calls you, because it's your story that you get to put out to your community to let people know you, and like you, trust you, right?
And we're pumped that Chamber decided to get on board with this. You know,
It's brilliant.
Lara was our first guest. We're like, you know what, she's great. She's a great door opener. And then she goes, wait a minute, we can make this an incentive for Chamber members. Perfect.
It's a brilliant partnership, just like your partnership with the high school. You know, folks, if you don't know, I came here to the studio and it's attached to the local high school. You know, what a great community, really.
You're starting to sound like Dr. Schran.
Well, it's one of my mentors.
He is. Same here. So let's start off with the big question.
Let's do it.
What is Stiles Law?
Great question. A difficult one to answer, though, because I would probably say, rather than what is Stiles Law, who is Stiles Law?
Okay, who is it?
It is 18 of the most wonderful people on the South Shore working together. I love every single one of them. And if you were to work with us, you would too, because they're great. And what we do at Stiles Law is a little bit different than maybe what you grew up on thinking what a law firm was like, right? So I grew up with LA Law. Some people grew up with Ally McBeal, the practice, hard-hitting litigation. It's always a grind. It's a fight. It's a roll up your sleeves and go get them and be careful what you do and say. That's not what we do. Okay. We are more advisors and counselors of individuals and businesses that are in a situation that is a life-altering situation, if you will. So, for example, buying and selling a home, right? Life-altering, right? You're moving, you're downsizing, you're upsizing, you're buying your first home, you're selling a home for the first time, you're selling a home multiple times, right? An estate plan. Right? You want to plan. You want to have a succession plan for your family. Those are some of the practices we do. We have startup business attorneys. So if somebody were to look to start up a business, right, Brian Lynch on my team is the guy to go to, right? And then we have the most wonderful support that, we strive on 5-star client satisfaction. And I think we deliver it. And very proud to say that I am part of Stiles Law with that team. So that's who we are.
Something I talked about with Tim Williams on a previous podcast is the customer service side of the business. He's from the insurance world, and you in something you said, and you were just talking about that, it sounded very similar to that. The customer service side has become so much more important than it was maybe 5-10 years ago. Do you think that's really the case?
I think it's a brilliant question, and I appreciate you asking it, because there's a lot of service providers similar to some of the partners we work with, right? So you have an attorney. I work with a lot of real estate agents, a lot of lending professionals, a lot of financial advisors, a lot of folks like Tim, property and casualty insurance agents. And there's a desire or a belief that a lot of these services are going to be commoditized, automated, AI, right? So we're going to be removed with computers, right? So computers are going to do our job. There is a real fear to that for a lot of people. But what separates the folks that, for lack of a better term, chase to this bottom, right? So somebody who's focusing on price and they're going to just give it away so that they can win the market share, right? Those people are the ones who are going to compete with Amazon Mortgage, right? Zillow for real estate. These are the big tech that are, threatening to disrupt a certain industry. But those that are focusing on service and customer relations and really, really, truly caring for their client, those are the people that will obviously survive this and really thrive in it. And I'm really passionate about that, obviously, but and there's a reason for it, because I'm also working on another project that puts 7 professionals together in a room monthly to talk about clients.
Huh.
They're not partners, but they're not partners in the legal sense, but they're referral partners, and they get together and they meet. And it's similar to any networking group that you might be involved in, but it's these 7 core professionals where they come together from 2 very different business networks, if you will. So you have a real estate network, which I'm a part of, right? You have a real estate agent who delivers the referral, the business referral, to their partner. Hopefully they're not calling them a vendor, right?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes in a commoditized type of business like we could be in, they would call us a vendor, right? So I'm going to deliver this to the vendor because the vendor needs to get it done in order for it to close. So they then send the business to the loan officer and the real estate attorney, who do a great job, and we provide as good or better service than anybody around. And I can say that with a straight face with my team. But then you have a very separate and distinct network that's going on down the road that doesn't connect with that network, and that's the financial advisor, a CPA, and an estate planning attorney. And they're both working together in their own networks. And we've created a methodology which brings them together. And the people that benefit the most from that is the actual client, right? The consumer. So now if we're focusing on their real estate needs, that's great, right? Their real estate needs are taken care of. But if those professionals aren't talking to their tax partners and their financial advisors, they may not know how much they really can afford, right? So these conversations are being had, and referrals are being shared, exponentially. And that's great for the business partners. That's great for the business folks. But what is so exciting about it is it's so great for the client,
Gotcha.
Did that answer your question, by the way?
That did. Is that, being an attorney, is there a favorite area of practice for you? And I know you cover all different areas. Is there one that really you enjoy more than others?
So, another tremendous question. So the beauty of law is that you can kind of change careers within your career. Okay. So I started out really not knowing what I wanted to do. I went to college and to law school following Bob Wolf's path. I don't know if you know who that is. He's one of the first super agents. Yeah. So I thought I would be Jerry Maguire before the Jerry Maguire movie came out. Okay. So I went to college and graduated with a sport management degree, going to law school thinking that I was going to be an agent. I didn't realize how much funding you actually needed to be an agent. To get started, you really need financial backing, and I didn't have it. So I said, okay, in my future, I'm definitely going to come back to this and do that. So I started, it was more, now we're dating ourselves back to January of 1996. Okay. I started out on my own, so I didn't go to work for any law firm. And it was more what I don't do versus what I do, right? So someone asked me, what type of law do you do? Well, we don't do divorces, and we don't do bankruptcy. So my practice kind of went to the path of where I was passionate at the time. So passion kind of runs in themes with me, but at the time I was really excited about the courtroom drama, right? The cases. So I joined, after having been in law school, working for the district attorney's office as a law student, working in the assistant district attorney's office up in Middlesex County for an awesome guy. In Somerville District Court, I got the fever a little bit. Yeah. So I didn't really want to go to work for the district attorney's office because I have that entrepreneurial spirit to me, right? So I wanted to start out on my own, and part of what you could do as a new lawyer is be a public defender. So I was able to convince the woman in Plymouth County to allow me to do that with zero experience in a down market. 1996 was kind of a down market, so a lot of attorneys that were otherwise busy doing other things wanted to come back and get that court-appointed work, and they probably had priority over me, but I sat in her, waiting area like 3 days in a row and was like, come on, really, I'll be good, I promise. And I had a lot of fun doing that, and most of the fun I had doing that was representing the juveniles, though, and I found that really impactful and rewarding, and dealing with the other police officers from the various towns and getting to know them and become friendly with them. The police prosecutors, each town would always bring a representative from their police department to help assist with the government. And I liked it because although I was on the other side of the government, it wasn't pure litigation where it was draw a line in the sand and I'm right at all costs. No, I'm right at all costs. It was more the government is there to do what's right. They're not there to prosecute everybody who comes in. They're there to help guide the people. They represent the people of our community. And so having the negotiations was always really, it was enjoyable because it was like, how do we help this kid?
Yeah.
And the judges in the juvenile
More about
court.
how can we make sure they don't come back as an adult?
Yeah, or how can we get this person back on the right path? They're making certain mistakes, and some of the judges in the court were so great, and the assistant district attorneys were so great at the time. But what was happening is they were appointing me more serious crimes, right? Because I was enjoying it, I was doing well. We were doing a lot of jury trials in the district court, but they started to assign me really heinous crimes. And at the time, I was living in the city with a buddy of mine who was going through the Boston Police Department Academy, and we were talking. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, I know that everybody needs to have the protections of the Constitution, but I don't know that it's going to be me doing this for the rest of my life. Am I going to wake up and have to represent somebody that really I don't care for that much?
Right.
So I had started into the real estate at that point. And I had a few referral sources coming in, and I just finally said, you know what, this is really more rewarding. I enjoy it. Everybody's smiling. Nobody's upset. No, I don't have to tell someone to bring their toothbrush to court, just in case. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to go down, but you might need to bring your toothbrush. So we've pretty much focused it on real estate, and from there it's spun out into a bunch of other practices with the wonderful people that have joined our team along the way.
Is real estate the highest percentage of work in the firm?
Probably at this point in time, a majority of our practice revolves around real estate, and then built practices off of that. Yeah.
What your background? Are you from Marshfield originally? Are you from outside the area?
No. So originally, I'm from the 413 area code out in Western Mass.
Part of the state?
Yeah. I lived there from birth in Amherst, Massachusetts, from birth until the age of 14, when my father and I moved to Florida. He had some health conditions, and the doctor said no more winters. And I was the youngest of 5 and the only one still in school. And he said, "You ready to go to Florida?" And I said, "I could do that."
Yeah.
So I came of age in Florida, and then I came back to the comfort of the Happy Valley and went to our state university at Amherst. And I've got New England in me. I mean, I loved living in Florida and going to high school, and all the memories I have, and some of the people, are some of my closest friends to this day. But Florida just wasn't where I saw myself raising my family. Right. It's just, I love the seasons. I love the 4 seasons. And
cool.
So I'm a New Englander at heart.
So what's a normal day consist of for you?
Normal. So I've been working on that.
Air quotes normal, we'll call it.
I've been working on that. I've been... for the last 2 years, I've been really, really working on time blocking. Okay. So really putting it in the calendar and holding myself accountable to the times and not straying from the calendar. But as the typical day goes, as the sun comes up, I'm very active with my family, which is why we moved the business to our town so that I could be involved with coaching and breakfast and all that stuff. And but the first thing every day is turn the shower on as cold as it possibly can go and stand in it for 30 seconds and scream and whistle and yell, but I'm up. And then it's breakfast with the kids. And my youngest right now is in the 6th grade, and
that's awesome.
My wife jokes about it, but I truly make him late every day, so he misses the bus so I can drive him to school. And I get that 5 minutes of awesome discussion, and then I head to the gym, and the day really begins business-wise at 9:30. At 9:30, we have a standing call with my team. If you were to call my phone, you'd realize between 9:30 and 10 o'clock I'll be meeting with my team, and we go through kind of the docket, if you will, if you were still on LA law, but it's really our active transactions, and we're going through them. And it's Denise on our team who does a wonderful job keeping all of the attorneys organized, and we're all on the call, and anytime there's a issue spotted, there's multiple brains thinking about it, the real so-called mastermind, if you will. I can lean on my 24 years of experience, and the things I've seen, and then we have some of the most brilliant minds on the South Shore who are like, well, why don't we think about it from this perspective? And by 10 a.m., issues are solved. Really? So then the day goes on, and I've been teaching. I certified a school for real estate professionals, continuing ed.
Okay.
So we've been utilizing that as a huge driver for our business. And so 3 days a week, I'm teaching 2-hour classes to local real estate agents in the area with the hope that nobody's obligated to give us any business. They're not. That's not why we're doing it. It's so that everybody gets real, true, thorough education, which makes our community better. Our entire real estate community will rise up together. And people have been really engaged in it. You can find it on, if you're a real estate professional, it's a closed Facebook group, but it's The Real Estate School at 892. Okay. And Lorene Swift from Marshfield also runs that school for me. And it's been great. And what we're doing is we're taking a broken model, right? The continuing ed, which they can get it online, right? And they all have told me behind closed doors that they hit play and they go do the dishes and the laundry and other stuff, and they're not listening to it, right? Or they're going to a big hotel with 500 other people and they're just texting and doing work, not listening. Where here we've got 8 people in a room. We close the door. Everything we talk about stays within these 4 walls, right? And we share ideas and we share experiences and we learn collaboratively. And it's been really exciting. So that's been a lot of my day.
Does it make your part as a real estate attorney easier because you're getting better educated, well-prepared realtors instead of, you get it and instead you have to kind of decipher a mess?
Well, so if I'm understanding your question, I have to prepare and get ready for each class, right? But
say one of those attorneys one of those real estate people comes to you afterwards, and
they always do.
Yeah, they always do. Is it easier for you on your end because now they're prepared?
Yes. So and that's the goal. So after the class, we kind of congregate in the hallway, and everyone's like, "Can I just ask you one more question?"
Yeah.
That they didn't want to share with the class, and that's fun. Again, no obligation to send us business, but it really, I can tell that just by the community engagement on the Facebook page that they're really enjoying learning, right? It's almost like it's new to them because they've blown off CEs for their entire career, depending if they're in it for 6 months or 40 years. Nobody's really put a very heavy focus on it, because they're not getting tested. They just have to prove that they were sitting somewhere, right? So here we're focused on educating them, and it's paying dividends because I see them working together better too. There's not because we preach a little in there, and we talk about drawing a line in the sand, and that the reality is that when a buyer and a seller come together in an agreement, your job is done. Real estate professional, like everything else is customer service. By law, you're going to get paid if that closes, whether you do anything or not. So why are we fighting, right? Let's all get along, right? And let's realize that the buyer wants to buy, seller wants to sell. Let's not have any obstructions, and let's guide it to the closing. And so we're talking a lot about that, and I can see that vibe happening within our community, which is awesome.
You talked about this earlier about your partners and your groups and all that, and business is so referral based at this point, very referral driven. Who are the best partners for you?
And I'm glad you refer to them as partners because that's enlightened. Because even though we are a professional service company, we have been attempted to become commoditized by a lot of people. Our competitors, right, have chased the bottom, right? So I'll do this for free. I'll do that for free. So now the what I like to refer to as our referral partners treat us that way, right? So, we become vendors. We become cogs in the wheel, and it's an industry that really needs to be disrupted, and part of it is through that networking group that I was referring to, Core 7. You can find that at mycore7.com,
Okay.
MYCRE, the number 7.com. Because I'll give you an example. So to answer your question, real estate professionals and loan professionals are the direct source for closings,
Okay.
right? So we do a good job, they send us business. If we add value to them, they would send us business. But the industry overall is ripe for disruption, and I'll give you an example of why I say that. I was at a fundraiser for an awesome charity organization. I would be supporting them every year, no matter what, because of what they're doing, and it's amazing. And a real estate company is the one who puts it out front.
Okay.
So they host this event for a wonderful organization it's their charity of choice. It's a great one. Mm-hmm. So happy to support it. But I look over at the banner to one of my friends who works at the company, and I said, look at that. In what industry is that sustainable? So we're looking at the banner, welcome everybody to the 2019, blah, blah, blah. Every supporting member, everybody who put money behind the event was a lawyer, was a law firm. So it was all listed on there. I'm like, this is a one-legged stool. In what industry can one industry be completely 100% supported by another industry? It doesn't work, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not sustainable. No. And here we are getting ready to disrupt it because you have this one-way referral. It's like a line, right? It's kind of like the Lion King, the circle of life. Mm-hmm. With the new way about it, you're bringing the people in, right, to the loan officer and the lender, the closing attorney and the lender, and they're bringing those people to the CPA, the financial advisor, and the estate planning attorney. Those people are over here talking about real estate where they never had an interest in real estate, right? Mm-hmm. So the financial advisor's focused on your retirement. They're focused on your 529. Right. But how about having a conversation with your financial advisor that goes something like this? Hey, Jonathan, I noticed that your 529 is dwindling down. It looks like you're getting ready to be an empty nester. How's your relationship with your real estate agent mm-hmm. that focuses in upsizing, right-sizing, downsizing, investment properties in Marshfield, what have you? Mm-hmm. And that person is saying, you know what, I don't know. Well, let me introduce you to Jonathan. Jonathan's a great person. And boom, right. There's someone in Jonathan's database for down the road. Maybe it's not a week from now that he's buying something, or it's 6 months. It's probably 2 years from now. But mm-hmm. you're that agent that person's thinking of now because of the financial advisor, because of the loan officer introducing them. So the realtor now has more reason to work with these people as opposed to, yeah, they do a good job. They support my foundation. They have, good swag, which we have great swag, by the way, at Stiles Law. Have you seen any of it around?
Yes, I have. I do. So speaking of that, you're very, very involved in the community. Talk about some of the things that you've done, because you've done some really neat things.
Well, it's important to me.
You're very involved.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what? It's very important to me. I was raised that charity and community involvement is really important. And I'm very proud to say, I was on the founding board of the Marshfield Education Foundation, mm-hmm. Where we did a lot of amazing things, and they continue to do mind-blowing things, and I love it, and we'll continue to support them as long as I'm around here. Saying we support the Boys and Girls Club very heavily. I am now a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, which I thought would be great, but it's town government, so it's not as glorious as I thought. No, but I do appreciate helping the landowner, mm-hmm. Because they need a voice, and I think there's a lot of people that tend to say no without really kind of thinking it through and saying, well, maybe this does make sense. But what I'm probably most proud of as a citizen or member of the Marshfield community is Dante DeMassa and I, in 2012, started the Marshfield Flag Football Program. Yep. Dante was instrumental and just a brilliant human being. If you could ever get him on this show, your folks would have just brain pleasure. He is really intelligent and just such an awesome guy. So we had kids around the same age, and funny how it goes full circle sometimes. The YMCA, I was a member at the time, had a flag football program, and we'd work out there and we'd bring the kids to the pool and all that fun stuff that the Y has to offer. And I saw the flyer and I'm like, this is great. Let's get the kids in there, Jules. Let's sign them up. Boom, let's go. And they ran a pretty cool program. And we did that for 2010, 2011. Dante did it with us. I said, Dante, I know you've been talking about this for little Dante. Let's get him in there. We'll mix it up. I'll coach. It'll be great. So we did that. And then after the 2011 season, I said, Dante, I think Marshfield would really benefit, by having this program. So I went online, and it was really, really easy. I wish I could say it was harder, but you go on the NFLflag.com and it pops up and it says, find a team or find a league, start a league. And I said, okay, well, I've already found a league, right, at the Y. Let me see what it says to start. 20 bullet points. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, oh my God, I can even figure out how to do this. And brought in Dante, who is brilliant. I mean, he's in the finance industry, so he was the spreadsheet guy. He was the algorithm guy. If we get, 42 kids signed up by this date, then we need to order this many jerseys. That stuff, my mind I'd melt, and I wouldn't do it, right? So he took that role. I took the role of recruiting the coaches. So if you talk to some of those folks, I mean, this is 2012 now. We're talking 7 years ago. Yeah. Shamed a lot of people. Grabbed a few by the short hairs and got to know a lot of people. And then we had one early meeting. It was the draft for 2012, and there was 80 men in that room at the tavern at the time. And they were all there for a similar purpose. And it was really cool because there was a lot of resistance. Really? There was a ton, yeah. I mean, remember back 2012, we're in a really heavy football town. And I love football. Every one of my kids have now played tackle football. I had never had anything against tackle football, but there was a perception that we were a competition, and there was enough, tackle football folks that were, upset with what we were doing, and there was some level of obstacles to get through. It was right at the same time as the high school was being built, so there was no fields. So we're the newbie coming in, and it really felt like we were walking through bullets, really, and hand grenades. But it was so rewarding. We had we opened it up with a big launch, and again, the community, but it was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of families who really enjoyed it, and it kind of opened up the doors for flag football, which I think is probably the greatest youth sport on the planet right now. I don't think it's going to take football completely away, although we have some bills on the floor of whether tackle football should be eliminated up till 8th grade and so on and so forth. But there is a lot of real lifelong experiences and memories that I have from playing that sport. Whether or not that sport is outlawed or becomes something of the past, where there's nobody playing tackle football anymore. How could they play that violent game? That was crazy. Why were anyone doing that? It's like smoking cigarettes at 12 years old. How could anyone do that? But I think there's definitely a place for high school football, and I hope that doesn't go away. But I think what we tried to do is give families an alternative, right? You have tackle football, and what I tried to explain to a lot of the tackle football supporters in the beginning when they saw us as a competition was, it's not the kid's choice, right? Every third grade kid that craves physical contact would want to play tackle football, but maybe the family's not ready. So here we are, giving you an option to keep them playing football, right? Because those kids will play a game called football with similar rules as tackle football. It's a very different game, obviously, but they're not going and playing another sport, maybe soccer. So they're still focused on football. So when the family is ready to play tackle football, then the kid will be a little bit more prepared, but he'll still be engaged with the sport. And I always